It's payday. The money lands in your account, and for about 2 days, you feel rich. Then rent goes out. A subscription you forgot about hits. There's a birthday dinner, a couple of late-night food orders, and by the end of the week, you're staring at your balance thinking, where did it all go? If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear something first. You are not bad with money. You just don't have a system yet. And a system is something you can build. In fact, you can build one in about 90 days, 12 short weeks, without earning a single extra dollar to start. That's exactly what we're going to do today, one small step at a time. Welcome back to MoneyWise Academy, where we turn confusing money topics into simple, practical lessons you can actually use. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, week-by-week plan to reset your finances. How to find money you didn't even know you were losing. How to set up your accounts so saving happens automatically. How to start investing as a total beginner. And how to keep the whole thing going long after these 90 days are over. Here's how we'll think about it. 90 days is really 3 months, and each month has one job. In month 1, we find the money. In month 2, we put that money to work. And in month 3, we make the whole thing stick. Let's get into it. Month 1 is all about finding the money, and week 1 has one simple rule. You can't fix what you can't see. So this week, you become your own accountant. Pull up your last 3 months of statements, your bank account, your credit cards, anywhere money has gone out. Then, sort every expense into 3 simple buckets. Bucket 1 is your needs: rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, the minimum payments on any debt. Bucket 2 is your wants: eating out, shopping, the fun stuff. And bucket 3 is any extra debt payments. By the end of the week, you want 2 numbers: your average monthly spending in each category and your savings rate. That's just your income minus your spending, written as a percentage. Here's where many beginners get a surprise. It's usually not the rent that shocks them. It's the small, quiet spending, the food orders, the "it's only $5" purchases that quietly add up to hundreds. In week 2, we plug the leaks. Take that list and sort it from your biggest expense down to your smallest. Then go line by line and ask one question. Can I trim this by 10 to 30% without making my life miserable? Some things, like rent, are hard to change overnight, so don't start there. The easy wins are usually in the middle. Maybe you find 2 streaming services you never watch and a subscription you forgot existed. That could be $90 a month right there. Insurance is another big one. Most people never shop around, and comparing a few quotes can quietly save you real money. Here's the part that matters. These small cuts compound. Trimming just $300 a month is $3,600 a year, money that can now go to work for you. Week 3 is my favorite because this is where you stop relying on willpower. It's called paying yourself first, and it works through automation. Step 1. Open a high-yield savings account. As of 2026, the best ones pay around 4%, while the national average sits near 0.4%. Same dollars, about 10 times the interest, just for picking the right account. Step 2. Set up automatic transfers on payday. The moment you get paid, a set percentage moves into savings and a set percentage moves toward investing before you ever get the chance to spend it. Think of it like this. It works the same way a 401k does. You never miss the money because you never see it sitting in your checking account. If 10% feels like too much, start with 5 or even less. Any amount is a win, and you can always raise it later. Week 4 is your plan for high-interest debt, and this is one of the highest return moves in all of personal finance. Add up your high-interest debt, especially credit cards. As of 2026, the average credit card rate is around 21%. Paying that down is basically a guaranteed 21% return, and there's almost nowhere else you can get that. 2 moves this week. First, pay more than the minimum and automate it. Even a small extra amount each month can knock months off your payoff date. Second, and people skip this one, call your card company and ask them to lower your rate. A 2026 survey by LendingTree found that of the people who asked, about 84% got a lower rate, and yet only about a quarter of cardholders ever ask. It's a 5-minute phone call. The worst they can say is no. That's month 1. Month 2 is about putting your money to work. Week 5 has a clear target. Build a $1,000 starter emergency fund. Why $1,000? Because as of 2026, Bankrate found that 59% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 surprise without borrowing for it. So this one little buffer instantly puts you ahead of most people, and it stops the next flat tire or vet bill from turning into credit card debt. To get there faster, use the savings you found in weeks 1 and 2, sell a few things you don't use, or pick up a short side gig. And keep this money in that high-yield savings account so it earns while it sits. If you already have $1,000 saved, your goal becomes 3 to 6 months of expenses. Week 6 is the one people are most nervous about: investing. So let's make it simple. In simple words, when you invest in the stock market, you're buying tiny pieces of real companies. And historically, over long stretches of time, the stock market has been one of the most reliable ways ordinary people have built wealth. Here's where many beginners get confused. They think they have to pick the perfect company. You don't. A lot of beginners start with a broad, low-cost index fund. Think of it like this. Instead of betting on one company, one purchase spreads your money across hundreds of large companies at once. It's the set it and forget it approach. Over the long run, the broad U.S. market has historically averaged somewhere around 8 to 10% a year. Not every year and never guaranteed, but the long-term trend has pointed up. To do this, open a brokerage account. Most major ones are free to open, and route part of your automated money into it each month. The magic word here is consistency. Small amounts invested every single month given lots of time. Because of compounding, earning returns on top of your past returns, modest monthly investing can grow into a genuinely large number over the decades. Week 7, we shift from cutting to growing. You can only cut so much, but there is no limit on how much you can earn. 3 paths to consider. 1. Ask for a raise, especially if it's been over a year. Look up the typical pay for your role and calmly make your case. 2. Start a small side hustle, whether that's freelancing, selling things, or a service like pet sitting. 3. Learn a high-income skill, like coding, design, or sales. Your only job this week is to pick one of those and take the very first step. Week 8 is quick but powerful. Write down one money goal. Pick something specific, attach a number to it, and figure out the monthly amount it would take to get there. Why bother writing it down? A study from Dominican University found that people who wrote their goals down were significantly more likely to actually achieve them. The figure that's often quoted is 42% more likely, and people who shared their progress with a friend did better still. So write your goal down, then tell someone you trust. That's month 2. Month 3 is about making it all stick. Week 9, we get honest about credit cards because they're a double-edged sword. If you pay your balance in full every single month, a credit card is almost like free money. You get rewards and cash back, and you build your credit history, which is the single biggest factor in your credit score. But if you carry a balance, that 21% interest starts working against you fast. So the honest test is to know yourself. If you tend to overspend, it is completely okay to skip credit cards for now. If you've got the discipline to pay in full, used carefully, they can be a genuinely useful tool. Week 10, you start tracking your net worth. It's simpler than it sounds. Add up everything you own, your cash, savings, investments, and property. Then subtract everything you owe. That number is your personal scoreboard. Check it once a month or once a quarter. Honestly, watching that number slowly climb is one of the most motivating things in all of personal finance. Week 11 is the step almost everyone skips, and it's the one that keeps your results real. It's been about 8 weeks since week 1, so pull your numbers again. Compare your spending now to where you started. Did the leaks you closed stay closed? If a few reopened, patch them up. That's it, just an honest check-in with yourself. And week 12, you're at the finish line. So zoom out and set your stretch goals. Where do you want to be in 1 year? In 5 years? In 10? Take the big ones and break them into small monthly steps. Then do one last thing. Schedule a recurring check-in once every quarter to review your progress. That single habit is what turns a 90-day push into a financial life that keeps improving. Quick note before we wrap up. This video is for education only, not personal financial advice. Everyone's situation is different, so for the big decisions, investing, debt, and taxes, it's always worth checking official sources or talking with a qualified professional about your own numbers. So let's bring it home. In month 1, you found the money. You saw where it was going and you plugged the leaks. In month 2, you put it to work. A starter emergency fund, your first investments, and a plan to earn more. And in month 3, you made it stick. Smarter credit, a net worth you actually track, and goals on paper. Remember the big idea. You never needed to be a math genius, and you didn't need to earn a fortune. You just needed a system. If this gave you a plan you can actually start this week, consider subscribing. It's the best way to keep these lessons coming, and I'd love to have you back for the next one. Take it 1 week at a time. You've got this, and I'll see you in the next lesson.